Welcome back, everyone, to Single Malt Strategy Podcast, episode number 95. We are doing the usual thing where, after the previous year-end review, we now do our hype looking forward to the next year. That's what we're going to do, and for that, we have the usual crew. It is, welcome, Mr. Host, the Historical Gamer. How you doing?
It's a new year. It'll hopefully be a better year for my sports teams.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. We also bring with us today the usual Wolfpack 345. How you doing, Wolf?
Hello. I am doing lovely.
And Mr. Finnish Jager.
Yep, that's me. I'm doing good, thanks.
See how quickly we're speeding through this? Because we have a lot to cover.
Just Mr., by the way. Still no co-host. So
Yeah, I'm still last.
We had a board meeting regarding speed of episodes and how we ramble too much.
A board meeting.
board meeting, I don't know about that, but
We talked to the shareholders. They told us to speed up.
And shareholders are God.
and by shareholders, I mean, each person gets a votes based on their subscriber count. So the more subscribers, the more influence you have.
I was not informed of
Wolfpack
this
is renaming this podcast.
Yeah, we're
He's
going to
moving
start
it
with
to
the
his channel.
rebrand. Yeah. Oh, man.
I think we're going to go in our usual manner. So we have a lot of games to cover. We'll just start diving into some of the stuff we're looking forward to. Just a quick note, we have covered in the past several games that were not released in the time frame we thought, and we'll probably cover those more on a briefer scale, even though there's still games that we're probably looking forward to, maybe even more than the games we're going to list. We're covering those in a kind of like a separate honorable mention category, just because we've already covered them previously. That said, Mr. Finnish, I would like to honorably go to you first, since your opinion is most valued on this podcast. What is your number 3?
Wow, thank you. I like the honor. My number 3 game is called 1992 Rasputie. It's a political strategy game set in 1992 Russia. The Steam description reads, take a place of a politician in the post-Soviet space and immerse yourself in the struggle for power amid the ruins of the former empire. Your decisions will determine the path of the young state's development. I feel like I picked this game. The setting's super interesting. I feel like when do we get some games about like the fall of the Soviet Union and like rebuilding after that? The developer is A2B Games, so they're also the publisher. They have no other games on Steam, so I'm not really sure. You look at that and you might think, is this game going to come out in 2026 or something? And what's kind of the future of this game? But basically, I'm putting it on this list as we'll see how it goes. If it's a good game, great. If it comes out in 2027. Well, we'll talk about it then.
Did you ever play, it's by Naval Games, Crisis in the Kremlin?
I have not.
That's what this was reminding me of, too.
I saw the screenshots and I'm like, one, this looks freaking awesome. Like, we don't really get many games like this. Crisis in the Kremlin, I think, was originally a game from like the 80s or early 90s, which basically put you in the shoes of the head of the Soviet Union during it must have been early 90s, but it put you in the head of the Soviet Union, basically starting with like the mid 80s through to the fall. And you were kind of trying to like hold the empire together as best you could as all these events like Chernobyl would come up, which would completely sap your resources and your ability to keep it going. And then this company called Naval Games redid it in the maybe like 10 years ago or so. And then they just redid it again in 2025. And the newest one looks a lot less janky than the original. They also did a game about the fall of East Germany, I believe it was, called Ostalgie or something like that. I did not play the latter one, but and I think they also have a China game about like Mao. So they do a lot of like games-ish like this. So I saw the screenshots. It kind of reminded me of that, but I was curious if you'd ever played it.
I've only heard of them. The screenshots here pretty they intrigued me. I know the map and the demographic data. Got some economic data, news. The Steam page talks about a bunch of historical events, hundreds of real life characters and historical events. Resort to force when all other options are exhausted. So I don't know. We'll see where this goes.
Maybe you can have your Boris Yeltsin on the tank moment out front of the, or maybe this is after that, out front of the Kremlin.
Well, maybe I'll just invade Finland.
Or Ukraine. Why not Ukraine?
Well, it does say you can build your career in a post-Soviet republic such as Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, or Georgia. So looks like there's a little bit of replayability there. multiple countries to play from.
Yeah, that's actually pretty nifty.
Cool.
Yeah, this does actually look interesting. The actual UI design that they kind of showed off looks aesthetically pleasing.
I like it too. I like kind of the simplicity. I like the color palette, the data on the screen. So
Very cool.
it's a game that's just on my radar, and we'll see if it comes into fruition in 2026.
I already wish listed it after you said
Wow.
that, so it's I'm keeping an eye on it too.
Breaking news: THG wishlist game live.
I'm gonna have to make a video about it. I will explain to the world that I have wishlisted it.
All right, that's all I got. Well, THG, you get to go next for wishlisting the game, so you've earned this honor.
Okay, my I guess number 3 game is Lines of Battle by Sophie Games, which has or had a version of it that you could play in like a web browser for a while. It's basically a Napoleonic game with very basic sort of like almost like board game like bricks that move across a map, and then when they get close they engage each other, and it's there's no 3D, it's turn-based, but there's no 3D, so it's kind of a very basic looking game. It got a lot of attention in its web form from some people, even though the AI was very limited and the number of battles was very limited. And I think originally, like, primarily it was this multiplayer game that you'd play against other people. But they are coming to Steam, I believe, this year. I'm not totally sure, like, what they're all adding, but it looks like it includes co-op multiplayer as well. You can do like 4v4. So, it looks pretty neat. It almost looks like you're playing like a historical atlas of a battle. And I think, it's an interesting looking game. I like Napoleonic era combat. We don't get enough Napoleonic games. And, when I'm rounding out a list like this, I thought it's definitely something worth keeping an eye on and something that I'm sure I'll play when it eventually comes to Steam.
This looks interesting. Isn't there the people that did the Civil War game, aren't they making a Napoleonic War game as well? Is that supposed to come out this year?
Yeah, so I did not put this, or what is it? What's the new one? Grand Tactician Napoleonic Wars. And they are making they're trying to do what they did with the Civil War for the entire Napoleonic War period, which the game was kind of janky as a Civil War game. And for them to be like, all right, we're going to do all of Europe. We're going to include diplomacy now, even though the economy of the Civil War game was broken. And we're going to do, 20 years instead of just, the 4 years of the Civil War. I have some general concerns with how playable Napoleonic Wars will be. I do think Grand Tactician the Civil War got to a much better place than it was when it started, and I think it's certainly a game that I enjoy and still play. What I would say is that Napoleonic Wars would be number 1 on my list if I thought it was coming out this year. I tried this year. I may still do it. Debated doing a list of games that I was going to be like, games I'm most excited about that are not coming out this year. But I tried to exercise a little more discipline in my list this year to basically say, what do I think realistically is coming out this year? And I'll put that on my list. Because I think there's other games like the new medieval Total War. I'm guessing that's a 2027 game, given that I assume the Warhammer game will come out this year. And then, Warhammer 40K will come out this year. I assume Medieval will come out 27. That's my assumption. So, there's a couple games like that I decided I'm not going to include them on the list, even though, there certainly would be if I thought they were coming this year.
So this game was Lines of Battle. Is that what I heard correctly?
Yes, Lines of Battle.
So this is actually targeted to release in 2026? It doesn't say so on Steam.
It doesn't say so on Steam, but it is already playable in a browser form and has been for a little while. So I'm just assuming that if they've already got a playable version in that sense, that there's a decent chance it'll come out this year.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I will definitely wishlist this one as well. I actually like this top-down, low-res graphics type game. I mean, what would you call this art? It's like a NATO counter type pushing of your units.
It's similar to NATO, I guess. My description is if you open up an atlas, it's like playing the atlas.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I like that top-down thing. I mean, it actually gives you all the information you need for making decisions on the battlefield, because you see there's the forest, there's the hills, or the going down and coming up of height. This looks interesting. Yeah, good, thanks.
So if it's got a PvP or co-op or something, we can all play this against each other or together?
Yeah, it does say it has single player, which was kind of a big thing because I struggled with getting that to work well in the browser. So I'm assuming they're adding an AI, but it also does have online PvP, shared split screen PvP, cross-platform multiplayer. It says you can do 1v1 in multiplayer or 4v4. I'm not sure if that means there's no 2 and 3. I don't know why it would be 4 versus 2v2, but it certainly sounds like you can do multiplayer with multiple options. Sweet. Cool. Well, that being said, Why don't we move on to Wolf? What's your number 3?
My number 3 is going to have to be Modern Naval Warfare. I know we've picked this game in the past, but this is the new submarine simulator on the block. Puts you in command of a Virginia-class submarine, and it has a South China Sea setting. It looks like they recently had closed betas and stuff, so it does seem like they're getting closer and closer to a release. And it's going to have multiplayer, all that good stuff. Looks like it'll be a spiritual successor to Dangerous Waters. You're kind of familiar with that, so definitely interested in that one. It is being published by Matrix, so there is that as well. But
this is also one I'm keeping an eye on. It didn't make my list because it is, in my opinion, just a repeat. We've already talked about it at least last year. Was this even, maybe not 2 years ago?
we may have talked about it 2 years ago, and
So that's why that's why I pulled back this year and be like, we'll try to, on my end, nothing, you guys include what you want to include. But like part of me was like, I don't want to include something 2 years in a row. That being said, I think
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
Modern might have been, well, we did include it in last year's episode. So yeah, I mean, it's a repeat, but I think it's also like, it would probably be my number 1 if it was brand new. So like, a brand new title that we hadn't talked about before. So I certainly think it's worth being on the list and talking about because it rates so high of what I'm excited about this year.
I'd give this like a 95% chance of launching in some way, whether that be an early access or, a full release this year.
That's it?
You could take that to DraftKings.
Yeah, I never want to go 100%.
By the way, if DraftKings is looking for an official strategy game sponsor and they want us to start including sports lines, just reach out.
I would stop watching. Doesn't mean I would stop participating. I would just stop watching.
You'd just be cashing the checks. So, Modern Naval Warfare.
That's my number 3.
Tortuga Power.
All right, my number 3 is Warhammer 40K Dawn of War 4. And I just got to start off by saying it's so weird that they have Dawn of War 4 when they never released Dawn of War 3. But anyway.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't. Wolf.
Is this just some sort of...
It never was released.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you got it.
Was this like the game was so bad it doesn't exist in my memory?
Yeah, this is like Superpower 3 type levels. No, it wasn't that bad, but, it's not considered... Okay, anyways, Dawn of War...
Gettysburg Armored Warfare, where like Paradox pretends it doesn't exist and removed it from the Steam store.
Yeah, probably not that bad, but...
You can still buy it, but...
Yeah. Let's just read the Steam review of this. It's a return to RTS series roots with deeply satisfying strategy gameplay. Take command of 4 unique Warhammer 40k factions, including the Adeptus Mechanicus in their series debut. Fight through a 70-plus epic campaign. Well, anyway, I mean, this is... If you haven't heard of Dawn of War, you must be a fairly young gamer, because has everyone here at least heard of Dawn of War, that 40k series?
I've heard of it. I've never played it.
It's iconic, right? I mean, it's like Command and Conquer levels of fame.
Whoa. I don't know that I'd go that far.
I'd probably agree with that, frankly. I mean, it's up there.
Dawn of War 1, Dawn of War 2 were fantastic. Great games that you could play co-op, especially because if you like the 40k universe, they're very faithful to that. They're just wonderful little games, and they have such great multiplayer. I just remember fondly many multiplayer games in this. So I hope that we can recreate that. That's why it's my number 3. And it's published by, I'm trying to remember all the publishers. That's a new thing I'm doing. So Deep Silver. And I don't know who they are. So.
Okay, yeah, they've published Kingdom Come Deliverance. That's what it was.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's a good sign. Not really the same category, but yeah, it's a good game. So.
Yeah, and they've also done like Metro Exodus and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Again, not the same category of game, but...
You kind of joked about it at the beginning, like this Total War, Warhammer, Dawn of War, etc. Very similar games being released. I have to admit, I actually think I'm more interested in Dawn of War 4 than the Warhammer 40k Total War. And I'm more of a Total War person. Like, I enjoy Total War games more than the old, like, Warcraft-esque RTSs, but I don't know. I guess I'm not as excited for 40k Total War as everyone else is. Maybe because I'm just waiting for the next big historical title.
Seems fair to me. I'm hopeful for this one, so if you are too, then yeah. If I'm disappointed, misery loves company, so I'll be calling you, Wolf, crying in the middle of the night. No, they failed again. It's just like number 3.
We'll do some multiplayer.
Yeah, I hope so. This game looks good. We didn't even really describe it, but it's kind of like the old Warcraft and Command and Conquer type games where your base unit is not a single unit, it's a squad. So in that sense, it's not exactly like those other 2 titles, but you do base management, you go out, you collect resources, and then you go, smash the other person's base. So just very simple formula, but a lot of fun. And that's all I have to say about that, unless anyone else has comments.
It is interesting. I don't want to side rail this too much, but both the games are doing Orcs versus Space Marines, and there's a new edition of the tabletop that is allegedly coming out this year, and like the starter box is going to be Orcs and Space Marines. It's kind of interesting how Games Workshop seems to kind of orchestrate all of this in the background. Anywho,
let's go back to Mr. Finnish Jager for his number 2.
All right. My number 2 game is Transport Fever 3. I don't have actually a whole lot to say on this, mainly because it's the third game in the series, so you're going to be transporting goods and people and
controlling your fever.
Controlling your fever, yeah. Transporting it, maybe.
This was also going to be on my list, so I really like that you put it on yours, so I didn't have to waste one of my precious slots for it. Thanks, Finnish.
Yep, not a problem. And if you're about to ask, well, did you play Transport Fever 2? Well, the answer is actually no. By the time I got interested in wanting to play it, I saw that they were like working on Transport Fever 3, so I was like, I'm just going to wait. But it looks interesting, so that's really all I have to say. I like city builder transit games, as you could probably guess from past episodes. So
it seems like it'll really fit the kind of things that you like to play. Other games like this, Railway Empire, I think, that was just purely railway focused. And this one does everything, does cars, ships, both at the same time. You can build your dock and then transport something on ship good from one island to another. Then from the dock, you take it by railroad. So yeah, Transport Fever, I think I'm going to go out there and say it's like the new Open TTD. I think that it might be slowly replacing it. Open TTD is still out there, still kicking, still doing great. But
got its charm.
Yeah, I think modern day people are starting to switch over to it's very similar, the more graphically pleasing Transport Fever series.
Yep, exactly.
Just my thoughts.
This is kind of cool that it has historical settings too. I see an Old West steam engine over here.
Yeah, I want to make sure I keep delivering enough steel to the Krupp factories and keep them churning out.
That's right. Build big, Bertha.
Oh, boy.
The Paris gun?
If you're going to build railways, you better build railway guns, too.
Hell yeah, brothers.
I just want to transport my citizens.
To the front lines, right, Wolfpack?
Yeah, to the mines.
Yeah, Wolfpack thinks about the children. He just thinks about child labor.
Profit. Yeah, profit factor. Oh, man.
Keep that in there. That's funny. All right. TG, you're next.
All right. So my number 2 is Gilded Destiny.
Good pick.
I look back, I don't think we've talked about it. And
we totally have.
I think we mentioned it, but it was not like on anyone's list last year in any event. It might have been in the honorable mention section. But this is a game which last year I was not super convinced was going to come out because it was being developed and actually at the time published by Aquilia Interactive. And I was like, I've never heard of these guys. They never made a game. It looks like they're trying to, it got a little bit of attention around the time that Victoria 3 came out, and Victoria 3 did not meet a lot of people's expectations. And Gilded Destiny, the art style to me looks like Victoria 2. A lot of the menus and features look a little bit like Victoria 1, but it's basically this game that takes place during that same era, during kind of the Industrial Revolution, the era of imperialism. And it clearly seems to be like, we're going to position ourselves as the more detailed view of a Victoria type game where you're managing your nation's rise and industrialization. You're putting down rail lines and individual, sections of the map. It looks like it's got like an open world map editor where you can just completely edit every single country as much as you want. Place cities, buildings, railways. It looks really interesting. I assume, it says you can manage your armies and fight battles and whatnot, but it looks, based on the handful of GIFs that they have in the screens here in the Steam page, looks a little bit like Paradox type combat. I assume you're not like fighting in kind of any real map sense, but it looks really, really interesting. And since last year, they have signed a publisher, everybody's favorite, Hooded Horse.
Wow.
So that's what gave me the confidence to include them on this list.
Yay.
To me, it goes from, oh, maybe it's a random developer that's, trying to get some attention and trying to like do something, but it'll end up being a muddy mess. Hooded Horse doesn't have a reputation of releasing muddy messes. They tend to release games that, like, even if they're not always the best game out there, they're usually like quality products. I haven't seen a lot of vaporware come out of Hooded Horse, so like I'm pretty confident it's a real thing and it's going to come now, and so it's definitely up there on my list for 26.
Yeah, this was also on my list. I have it in my notes as a re-envisioning of the sequel to Victoria 2. Probably it's more accurately a re-envisioned or remake or spiritual successor of Victoria 2. It just seems like it's Victoria 2 written in a different way. It's probably for the audience that feels left behind by Victoria 3 that wanted something more like the Vicky 2. It's iconic.
Yeah, it looks like it might be more detailed than Victoria 2. Like, I almost felt like Vicky 1, like, because there's a level of granularity that I think even got stripped out of Vicky 2 in the transition from Vicky 1 to Vicky 2. But
yeah, maybe. So I also had this on my list. I'm also glad that you took it, so I didn't have to waste a number on it. But I'm a little nervous that this will be so complicated that it won't be very accessible to like normal people, like me even. I feel very intimidated trying to get into this game based on what I'm seeing. I feel like you almost had to have played Vicky 1 or Vicky 2 to get into it. And even then, it's going to be...
Did you play Vicky 2 or Vicky 1?
I played a lot of Vicky 2, but not Vicky 1.
Okay. I played very little Vicky 2. I think I reviewed it for Wargamer, but I actually played a lot of Vicky 1. I've still got a CD of it somewhere.
Yeah.
I was never very good at understanding everything under the hood. Like, I wasn't a grog in that sense. I wasn't like min-maxing things, but I still loved playing it. So to me, this reminds me a lot of that.
Yeah, it's going to require a lot to get into. It took me a while to get into Victoria 2, but YouTube these days, somebody will do tutorials on it. So
I guess what I'd say is I'd rather, like, sure, maybe it is hard to get into. And this is not a shot at Paradox. Paradox seems to be releasing the types of games that are not like overly complicated to like pick up and play nowadays. So I'm glad that there is someone taking the mantle on stuff that is a lot harder and takes a lot more time. Along those lines, Terra Invicta recently released to 1.0. So like that's another, I think, like deep, long at the very least, strategy game. Soviet Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. That's also a hooded horse game. And that is like stereotypical, like, this game is nuts. It's like a city builder in the Soviet Union where it is incredibly micro, is my understanding. I've not played it because it was a little bit of a turnoff, but like this era, the era of like the 1800s to the early 1900s, historically is one of my favorites. So I'm really excited to see what comes of Gilded Destiny.
I'll just say one more thing. You've nailed it, though, when you say that it's good someone is replacing like the previous Paradox where they used to do complicated games. Yeah, I agree completely. And this fits that bill perfectly. Good way of describing it, I would say.
It is good that there are games that are more accessible for people. It is good also that the grog side of things does not get left behind and that there is going to be something out there, hopefully, for like the detail mongers as well, because there's a market for it. I don't know, depending on when it comes out, if I'll have the time to jump in, but those kind of games also tend to be the kind of games that even if you don't spend 40 hours in it learning it right away, like 2 years down the line, maybe when you have more time, you're in a different place of life, like you can always come back to that and you can dive in when you've got the time. So I think with that being said, I think let's move on to Wolfpack. What's your number 2?
My number 2. All right. This kind of ties into one of my top games in the previous episode number 94 or whatever, and that is Dark Heresy by Owlcat Games. That's right, I'm doing another Warhammer game. It's a big Warhammer episode, it seems like. But this is a top-down CRPG. It puts you in charge of, you're like an inquisitor. So you're kind of running around trying to find out where the bad guys are. And they have a whole system designed for like this whole investigation mechanic. So you can go around and investigate clues and all that good stuff, which I find pretty interesting. And of course, it's an RPG, so you can just accuse the wronged people if you wanted to. Yep, looks pretty interesting. I love the Rogue Trader combat, and it seems like this is going to be very similar to Rogue Trader in a lot of ways. They did kind of the same thing with their Pathfinder games. They did Pathfinder 1, which a lot of people liked, and then really refined it with 2. I'm thinking Owlcat's probably going to do the same thing here.
I am very grateful to you, Wolf, for bringing this up because I was not aware of this game's existence.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I did not. I don't know how I didn't know about this one, but I did not know about it. I mean, I didn't play Rogue Trader, and like I keep thinking how it's a great game, but I just don't have time to invest in another Owlcat game, so it's not like I'm tracking this category too closely.
Yeah,
but I'm really happy to see that it's doing well. Yeah, isometric viewpoint. It's basically the same as all these CRPGs, right?
Yeah. And I've been kind of following the development of this a little closer. I know the devs said they wanted to keep like the playtime down in this game compared to some of their other games.
Oh.
Allegedly, they have said this for every game they have made, though. So, you know, it's one of those things. But the whole investigation mechanic really does intrigue me. It's kind of interesting that all of their games, they implement different little mechanics like fleet combat and Rogue Trader. I mean, Rogue Trader has a whole different system for buying stuff because you're this incredibly rich Rogue Trader. So money's not really something you worry about. But yeah, Yeah, it's interesting, the little mini games they cook up. I'm looking forward to it.
Are we going to see you play these kinds of games on your Twitch stream at all? Or are these just stuff that you play in your personal free time?
Yeah, this is stuff I normally play by myself. One of the big reasons I do not like streaming these games as much is it's a lot of reading out loud.
Oh.
And I'm not good at that.
Suzerain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not good at it to begin with.
Reading?
Yeah, let me tell you, I miss it.
He done learned to read good.
I can barely talk right.
And that's that Mississippi education, huh?
That's what it is. But yeah, it's a lot of reading. And also with Owlcat, I mean, I've seen you play Suzerain. The amount of text in these Owlcat games is kind of nuts. It's some of the appeal to it, but there's some things that's like, okay, we get it. Yeah.
Not only that, Wolf doesn't want to be judged for the extremely immoral decisions he prefers to make in these games.
That's true. That is definitely part of it.
We know he makes those decisions.
I don't have a sound clip somewhere of him shooting a hellfire into a school in a game he was streaming. I'm pretty sure.
I don't recall any of this.
I don't think that happened.
Anyway, who's next?
Anyway,
He's going to open a new channel called Owlcat345 after the last 2 episodes. He seems to be a big fan of the developer.
I'm Owlcat pilled right now. I'm really enjoying their games.
it might as well be 40K 345 because, I mean, those are both 40K games too.
That's true.
I honestly would watch that. I love this. I'm buying in.
Speaking of Owlcat, they are doing another game, which looks interesting. It is, oh my gosh, what's the franchise? The Expanse.
Oh, wait.
And it looks like they're going for a more action RPG kind of thing. And I think this may be something that actually breaks out into a more mainstream audience, mostly because of the type of game it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be third person.
Well, did you guys watch this series? Like, it was an incredibly popular sci-fi series.
I've watched part of it. I need to go through and watch it again and finish it.
I've read the book, so I'm superior to all of you. You just watch this series.
Okay. Again, like I said, I can't really read too well, so
That's right.
Owlcat's doing some pretty cool stuff. I'm a fan.
I'm interested in this Expanse game.
So Wolfpack has Hooded Horse, Tortuga has Hooded Horse, and Wolfpack has Owlcat.
Yeah, I have respect for Owlcat, though. I mean, yeah, they're doing good.
They got a great name.
It is a good name. Good name.
Owlcat, Hooded Horse. If you got an animal in your developer title, you're good to go.
Tortuga Power?
Wolfpack.
Wolfpack.
Oh, wait,
Finnish Jager.
Finnish Jager?
I got it.
They're all great. Let's just see the
the historical gamer.
Man.
What the
What a
fuck
bummer.
is that? It kind of smells.
THG, the hockey guy.
Not like the others.
You are all war criminals.
Okay.
I don't have anything to say to that. I just, goodbye. You've been demoted. You are no longer a co-host.
Oh, shucks. All right. Who's next?
I think that would leave Tortuga.
My number 2 game is Beyond Astra. This is a game it's been like in development for a while. There was even a playable version of it, or maybe I just watched someone who had access to a playable version. This game is kind of like Planetary Commander in that you're fighting on a spherical planet world that, you actually traverse from one side to the other. The scale of these planets is small enough that your units move from one side to the other. You guys remember that Supreme Commander like sequel or successor where like you fought on the actual 3D spherical planet? Do you remember that? Crickets. Okay, good. Anyway, so this is a game where it's a 4X game where you're supposed to be taking over many planets. But each one of those planets is actually a planet that you can fight on, that you like zoom into. It's one of those things, kind of like, I guess it's like Distant Worlds where you can zoom from like the galaxy map into the individual systems and then zoom down to the planets and like the moons and all that. So they're trying to make it this immersive experience where you just zoom from one side to the other, like from global scope, the universe scope or galaxy scope. I don't know what the widest scope is, but you zoom from the galaxy down to an individual planet. And then you have units on that planet that are fighting RTS style. Is at least what I remember of it. And the idea is still to build up this 4X system of planets, but each one of those planets is its own entity. So yeah. Anyway, this game, let me just read the Steam thing just in case I didn't really get it right. Beyond Astra is a real-time 4X sci-fi grand strategy game set in a galaxy brimming with life and intrigue. Expand your own civilization, explore captivating and mysterious worlds, interact with your citizens and other life forms, and shape your destiny through nearly infinite possibilities. Yeah. So it's 4X strategy, ground strategy, management. Those are the tags for it. What I put for it is that it's mostly like this planet by planet progression system, similar to Planetary Commander. Planetary Annihilation, that's what the game was called. But it has that traditional planetary infrastructure buildup, and you can have spaceships fighting in space, like they fight in orbit. I assume you send your spaceship fleets from the planet you're on to the other planets to occupy them. My fear with it is actually one of the things that makes the game look so interesting is that it's just going to be too complicated. Oh, that's what I would also describe this. It's almost like Spore.
I was thinking about Spore for like...
Good example, because you go from like one phase to another. And Spore, this would kind of be like going from, you're going from like the single planet to like the galaxy. So you're actually managing all the different planets, but each one of those individual planets, you can still zoom back to. So it's like Spore if you could go forward and backwards in the progression.
Wow.
So it might be a little too complicated because I frankly don't want to have to manage like a planet forever if like it takes so much attention to do it once. I don't want to have to manage like 20 of those. They probably have some infrastructure, some like gameplay system, game design set up to avoid exactly this because it just would not be scalable, right? But like you're supposed to build up like your factories on this planet and like that's supposed to be the engine you use to build units on that planet. So very cool idea. That's why it's the number 2. This is published by Naval Games. I think it's both produced by and developed by. So it's a very interesting concept, and that's why I want to keep an eye on it. I have no idea about this company or the publisher or the development team. So they had something playable like as of 6 months ago. So I'm hopeful that it'll be released in 2026. I think it's really worth keeping an eye on. So I would say high risk, high reward. This might be a game with great payoff, like a very good game, or it might be another one of those with it's a great idea, but it just didn't pan out. So we'll have to see.
Can I maybe quickly ask about any sort of comparison to Stellaris?
Well, people are saying that, but I don't see it myself because it would be like, from my impression, from what I've seen of the game, it would be like Stellaris, but if your system management, like one individual system in Stellaris, you have like a couple plants, but you just like build basic units on it. Instead of replace that like system management with like Command and Conquer, where you just are building up lots of factories, lots of whatever. I mean, just any of those games where you're playing a lot. I mean, you could any of the games where RTS games where you're building your production facilities, that would be like replace the Stellaris system with that. So to me, that is like a huge disconnect between Stellaris and this. Otherwise, I don't know. The part of the game I saw was mostly focused on taking a single planet. So I don't know how the later game is supposed to work where you link multiple planets together. I don't know yet.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all right. So talked a lot about that. Sorry, but I think it's worth at least keeping an eye on. Otherwise, we'll move back to number 1 already. Crazy.
Yeah, wow.
We're zooming. The shareholders are getting their wish.
That's right. Finish, you want to bring us home?
I'll lead us off with my number 1, which is called Junctions with an X. This is a game developer is called Cyberstorm, publisher Hooded Horse. Always back to Hooded Horse. The Steam description is, answer your true calling as a traffic engineer. Featuring comprehensive simulation, construction, and management tools, use careful planning to build roadways, railways, and walkways, and the complex interactions between them. So yeah, this game's, I feel like it's not really going to be a city builder. It's really going to be like it says, like some sort of traffic engineer simulation. I think what the main feature that really hooked me on this, if you look in there on the Steam page, they have a section called Rebuild the Real World. So you can import an area of the world using like coordinates and it loads into the game. And then you have the ability to fix and make better the area that you've picked. And for me, for like the city builder genre, and I guess we'll kind of include this in that overarching term, but I always want games where I want to build something that's already existing. I want to fix something that's already built. I don't want to always start from scratch. This has kind of what I'm looking for in that regard. But yeah, it's kind of just going to be like this. It's another game where you're moving people around, and I think that's kind of interesting.
I'm interested in the prospect of importing my local town and just making it worse in every single feasible way.
Yeah, my local residents, my local residents are going to learn a lot about eminent domain when I'm in charge.
Oh God, yeah.
After the subway builder discussion and you're bemoaning the lack of rails in the U.S., I'm sensing a theme here. You want to fix reality. You want to feel like, come on, you guys.
It's just kind of fun. It's like it's like the tycoon kind of mentality. I like moving people, moving resources, and seeing the numbers go up.
We've actually talked about this game before, Finnish, you and I, Junctions.
Yep.
For people who haven't seen this game, the way I would describe it is it's like just the road building part of City Skylines, which in my opinion was the best part of it anyway. That's what this game is focused on, just like rebuilding all the infrastructure. And yeah, I was interested in this one. At least I think it's going to do a good job of what it wants to do, which is building infrastructure. So how would this compare with Transport Fever, though? Are you torn? I guess this is more the realistic side of things.
Yeah, I was making my list, I was kind of like, what do I put at number 1 and number 2? To me, they feel like they're pretty equal. This one has the more hyper focus about just the roads and the rail network and stuff like that, and not really about building the city. So I kind of put this as number 1 because it focuses on that. Sometimes you don't want to be playing a game where you're managing everything. I want to manage a component of the world, make that component work within the wider scope of what's going on.
I think the game design can be easier that way too, as in more successful. I would say that, in my opinion, Transport Fever 3 is more of a no-brainer as far as it'd be really hard for them to mess it up. And when I look at this game, I'm not sure if I'm going to enjoy it because I'm not sure how exactly it'll be implemented. I just don't have faith. I mean, it's a Hooded Horse published title, so to some degree, I have some faith. But since I don't know who Cyberstorm is or what they've done, and this is not based on any game that I know of, I mean, I don't know if they've directly said that this is based on City Skylines. If they even said that, I would be like, okay, yeah, then they're basing it on something. But I don't know exactly what I don't know exactly what their design vision is. So it's possible that I won't like it. That's my thoughts.
Okay. To me, this looks a little more, and I mean, I would say I'm just looking at what's on Steam. I haven't followed this closely. But to me, this looks a lot more like Subway Builder, but like with more graphics and obviously more than just subways. Because you've talked about Subway Builder. But to me, I look at this and I'm like, this is a game for people who really want to geek out and optimize or rebuild their city's traffic patterns and trains and things like that. Whereas Transport Fever, to me, that looks like more of a mainstream like tycoon game built around transportation. So I think, based on what we can see anyway, they're definitely appealing to different audiences. There may be overlap, but I certainly would argue they're not doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're doing the same thing. I don't think Finnish is saying they're doing the same thing.
Yeah. I didn't think I said that they were doing the same thing.
No, I'm not saying you did. I guess my point is more that I think they're very distinctive types of games. And Tortuga, it would not shock me if Transport type Fever is more up your alley. This is meant with love. Junctions looks like a game for sickos in a way that I'm not sure Transport Fever is intended to be exclusively for sickos.
Jeez.
I would say it a little differently if I was going to try to be a little more polite and kind. I would say that this appeals
with
to
love.
more transportation-focused individuals, whereas Transport
Towards the
Fever...
person who was previously not mentioned as a co-host and...
Oh, yeah. Boy.
No, but Transport Fever...
The shareholders are not going to be happy about this.
Sickos is a positive expression of love in
Sickos
is
is
2026.
In what culture?
in the meta.
In the Midwest? In Wisconsin?
No, the online meta.
It is a Midwestern thing. I've heard some Midwestern cheese freaks say this
Jesus
before.
Christ. Now that was not said with
No,
love.
cheese freaks is definitely positive. That's in my culture. People say, oh yeah, you're a cheese freak when they want to say something positive, right? That's what Wolf's saying.
Yeah.
It's out of love.
Gonna need a content warning on this podcast. Cheese freak?
They say goddamn cheese freak.
I love the Midwest, though. I love that you guys do like a fish fry thing. I think that's fun. That's quirky.
Yeah, actually, I was just I was picking up food at a local Mexican restaurant the other day, and a new an axe and tap, like a bar with axe throwing, just opened up, and they had a big sign out front, Fish Fry Fridays. You know, it's a big Midwest thing.
Yeah, pretty cool. I'd have mercury poisoning, but anyway.
Hell yeah, brother! Listen, mercury's good for you.
Anyway, this game looks fun. It's on my wish list now.
Thanks, Finnish.
Okay, cool. It's kind of related to what I do for my career at this point. So,
are you serious?
This was interesting to me. I mean, I don't do transit or traffic engineering, but now that I see, city planning and urban development, this is kind of interesting.
I mean, a lot of people like City Skylines because of all the road complexity they had in that game. I do think it was probably one of the best features in City Skylines, like compared to the SimCity titles. People even like SimCity 4 a lot because it offered like highways and like other roads and all these different things. And in my opinion, City Skylines leaned into that more. And essentially Junctions is like, let's just take this to the next step and remove any of the residential commercial stuff. Let's just do the road building.
Yeah.
Yep.
It looks neat.
That's all I got. So you gonna crap on this game even more or something, or
No, he's done for now.
he's done?
He's got to think of some more insults. So give him some
All right.
time.
He's got to
That's not an
reload. He's got
insult.
a cool down period. We've insulted Cheese and the Packers, and enough.
He's
that
retreated.
He's retreated.
We actually haven't brought up the Packers, and I think maybe next time we should.
Yes.
We may have hinted at them in the opening when I was...
Especially the fact that they lost to the Bears. I know that probably really
Not just once, but twice.
Anyway.
And in the playoffs.
What I will say, though, is yes, those 2 losses this year sucked, but I don't have a particular disdain for the Bears because my entire life they've been crap. So it's okay.
His number one game was not the Packers versus the Bears.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's right.
Anyway, my number 1 game is better than all of yours number 1's games. And that is War in Spain, 1936 to 1939. By Joint Warfare Simulations, which I think is like a follow-on studio to Henderson Studios or whatever, which made War in the Pacific Admirals Edition. It's being published by Matrix, and I had some reservations when they said, hey, we're doing War in Spain, and it seemed to be loosely based on the War in the Pacific Admirals Edition design, if not engine. They're claiming it's an all-new engine. Because War in the Pacific's not really a game built for land combat like it exists in the game, but that's definitely one of the weaker things in the game. So I had a little bit of reservations, but it seems like they've sort of built something from the ground up. It'll have land combat as a legitimate, big part of the game. It seems like they're going a little bit away from, some of the War in the West and War in the East stuff that Gary Grigsby's actually been working on the last few years. Has gone a little bit down the line of we're going to streamline out a lot of the, really groggy stuff here. Not to say that those games are simple by any stretch of the imagination, but in War in the West, all your shipping stuff is abstracted out, which I guess doesn't matter as much in that game, but I think it's cool that War in Spain's going to have naval aspects. There were naval operations that I did not know about because I don't know a lot about the War in Spain, but I assume there wasn't a lot of naval stuff going on, but there were actually several legitimate naval battles, small, but naval battles. There was amphibious operations, so those are going to be in the game. And I love War in the Pacific Admirals Edition. The folks who sort of turned War in the Pacific into Admirals Edition are the ones, I believe, who are working on this, or at least some of them. And I'm really excited to see another game delve into the detail. I hope it's successful because while I don't personally have a huge connection with War in Spain, the Spanish Civil War, to be clear, if I haven't mentioned that yet, the developers apparently do.
I'm glad you cleared that up. I was thinking this was Spanish Armada.
Well, I did say 1936 to 39 at the intro, but
Okay.
You like your Napoleonic game, so I thought maybe Napoleon was involved. Wellington.
Yeah.
It could be. I'd be down for that too. The bleeding ulcer, Napoleon's bleeding ulcer.
Spanish-American War?
Are the other Cubans in this one?
Oh, I thought you said Napoleonic. So hey, that would be a pretty cool naval campaign to fight too. So
That actually would be.
In Grigsby style, right? But yeah, I don't know. It's 5 mile nautical hexes, so they're getting really, a big map as you would expect from a game like this. It's coming out on the 22nd, so we'll see if the podcast is out before that. But I don't know what else to say. I'm a sucker for Grigsby games. I kind of missed on War in the East 2 because I wasn't a big fan of the I Go You Go setup. I think this is We Go, so simultaneous resolution. I mean, they say it's inspired by War in the Pacific, so I assume that's how it...
My reservation with this is just the fact that I don't know how anybody can really model. So this game is attempting to model the Spanish Civil War, which in my opinion is extremely hard to do because it's not like there was really cohesive fronts. It was a lot of skirmishes and one person would hold a town and then the other people would come and try to take that town, but in these little skirmishes, and there was not really a connected front line. It was an absolute mess. I mean, a lot of it was like that. A lot of it was guerrilla warfare type stuff, and there was a lot of civilian involvement. Anyway, I mean, it's a really messy war, as civil wars often are, and I don't know how this game will model it. If they're just trying to reduce it to a pure war game, that's still okay to do because a lot of people just do it that way, but it won't be an accurate representation of the war. So I'm kind of curious about this one, but I'm a little reserved about it.
I mean, there was that, but there were definitely front lines. I mean, you can look at atlases that show the front line as it moved across Spain and sort of as the Republicans lost their control over aspects of it. There were blockade operations. A lot of the rest of the world got involved to various degrees. There were air campaigns with the Germans sending a squadron and the Russians sending forces as well. So, like, I agree, it was a very messy campaign. I'm sure there was a lot of stuff behind the lines too, but there were major operations in sort of a conventional sense as well. So
there was that, but there also was a lot that was not that. And I don't know how the game will model that second part.
yeah, I mean, that's true. To be fair, that's also true of China in World War II, and War in the Pacific kind of hand waves that away, for better or worse. That's definitely true. But they still had an interesting game in War in the Pacific. I think China is still an interesting aspect of that game. I do have my reservations with land combat in the system, but I think in a year that I'm saying, like, what am I excited about that we haven't talked about before? This is a new announcement since the last time that we talked about these games, and it's coming out in like a week and a half. So I guess we'll see soon enough.
All right, fair enough.
Wolf, what's your number one?
My number one is IL-2 Korea. Yep, a new flight sim on the block. Kind of similar to what War in Spain is doing. They're saying it's a new engine. It's really an upgraded engine. But yeah, and they're going and doing Korean War stuff. They have a release window, I suppose, Q1, 2 of this year. I think it's Q1, but I may be misremembering. So spring this year anyway. And I think the Korean Air War is fascinating piece of history. I do think it would make for a fun game. Kind of worried it's not going to be super popular because I don't know how many people are really interested in Korea, but I think it'll be fun. Well, they're doing like a new career mode system to where you manage your squadron with a little more fidelity. Like you manage fuel and stuff like that. And then I think that'll add some depth to the career system. Overall, seems to be an upgrade from IL-2 Great Battles. And they've already pretty much confirmed that they are going to the Pacific after this and doing an Okinawa expansion, which I have thoughts on as well. Another game I'm really looking forward to is Combat Pilot. It's probably the flight sim I'm most optimistic about. But I don't think they're going to be releasing that much this year. We're probably getting something, but we'll see on that one.
First off, I agree that from like a marketing standpoint, Korea might not be the most, I don't even know how to describe it, sexy or whatever. You know, you probably aren't drawing from the same base. It would be a shame if it was not incredibly successful just based on the, I haven't played obviously, but based on the topic. Because Korea, in my mind, is like one of the most interesting air combat theaters since the history of air combat, right? You've got propeller planes still operating sort of on their way out. You've got jets on their way in, becoming really prominent. You've got the nuances of, areas that are off limits for American aircraft to fly over, and sort of the ability of the pilots to sort of retreat into China to kind of get to sort of safe airfields. You've still got strategic bombing in sort of a World War II sense, a lot of close air support type stuff going on, a very fluid and sort of dynamic, at least for the first year, campaign on the ground. You've got naval aspects with like carriers and things like that, as well as land-based aircraft. It's just a really interesting sort of melding of technologies and equipment and countries. To me, it is an incredibly interesting period of air combat. So I hope based on the title that people are, they should be excited and interested if it was something where it's like they're doing something new, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, I agree with your assessment about the Korean Air War. Incredibly interesting, very romanticized, similar to the First World War in the air for very similar reasons. But yeah, I'm also hoping they kind of tap into some of that Chinese audience, get them into flight simming, and then region lock the multiplayer servers.
Shoot down the American devil, just prepping them.
Yeah, so anyway, I just thought it'd be fun. I don't know. I do think that's probably part of the appeal. The Chinese simming community is bigger than I think a lot of people give it credit for, but anyway, yeah, it'd be a shame if this was a flunk.
I did have one question for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned they announced that like Okinawa will be next. One, if you're doing the Pacific, why in God's name would you not do the Solomons when both sides are still relatively even? But two, does that mean this is going to end up like their World War I game that kind of becomes a bastardized stepchild of like, oh, well, we were doing some new stuff, but this was never going to be a long-term game? Because like IL-2 Great Battles has been going on forever. And if this is like the successor, I guess I had hoped there would be a long tail to its existence. Or is Okinawa going to be like a module within this and it'll all be like...
Yeah, so this is the new engine. They are going to add more modules onto this engine. I'm not sure which bastardized World War I game you're referring to.
Don't they have a World War I game that kind of never gets...
Are you talking about Flying Circus?
Yeah, it didn't it kind of die out there? Like, it's newer than Great Battles, but Great Battles long outstripped it. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm an idiot.
You're thinking of Rise of Flight.
Maybe.
Rise of Flight was the original game engine, and it was a World War I flight simulator. That team went on and made IL-2 Great Battles, improving that engine. Then they ported a lot of that old Rise of Flight stuff into the Great Battles engine and called it Flying Circus. Flying Circus is still maintained. They actually added a Zeppelin not that long ago, so yeah, it's up to par with the other Great Battles stuff. There are still Great Battles modules in the works. I know they're announcing some more aircraft, but they're doing a Siege and Liberation module, so they're adding Leningrad and Odessa maps and campaigns for Great Battles. And
Okay.
so they're still working on Great Battles, but it does seem like Korea is going to be the new big stepping stone, similar to how IL-2 Battle of Stalingrad was the stepping stone for everything we've had since 2013.
Okay. And I guess maybe now that I think about it, Okinawa could make some sense in that. I don't know how many B-29s would be relevant there, but Corsairs would be, right? So some of the late war aircraft, there might be bleed over between Korea and Okinawa.
Yeah, and I know what you're saying about the Solomons. I agree. It'd be fun, but you look up the flight time from Rabaul to Guadalcanal and tell me you want to do that.
Well, it didn't hurt the Japanese. They did fine.
But that's because they didn't have self-sealing fuel tanks and all these other heady things like armor on their airplanes, so they had a much longer range.
I'm just talking about for a game, you goofballs.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about the game in Okinawa, and I think it'd be kind of fun if you're flying as the Americans to defend against a kamikaze attack.
Yeah, and it does look like they're doing a DLC for Korea. And it does look like it's going to be carrier-based.
So when you say Okinawa will be next, will it be all accessible from one install then? Because that's how I think of Great Battles Stalingrad is. Stalingrad's there, Leningrad's there, all these other things are there. Would Okinawa be its own standalone like Cliffs of Dover, or would it be part of Korea?
It'd probably be part of the Korea ecosystem.
Okay.
But if you buy from the website, if you buy IL-2 Great Battles on the website, you can have any module you want first.
Gotcha.
It's just with the limitations of Steam, you have to buy Stalingrad first.
Okay.
But if you only wanted to do Western Front IL-2, you go to their website, you buy IL-2 Normandy, and it's its own game, essentially. It's weird how they do it. They do it that way because of Steam. Some Steam issue, I don't know. But yeah, all the future titles will be in this new revamped engine. They have a bunch of B-29s flying around at the same time. A lot of the things people have complained about with Great Battles seem to be resolved in this new engine. So big formations of planes and all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, people have been asking for 4-engine bombers forever, and
yeah,
World War II, which I think for the same reason as maybe they didn't do the Solomons. They're listen, we're not doing 8-hour missions with 1,000 bombers.
And I did say they're bringing in some features from older flight sims to new flight sims. So when you take off or whatever, you can time skip. You can be it'll ask you jump to the front line or whatever, and it'll kind of teleport you there. Some older flight sims did this, not IL-2 games, but
some sport games do that now, where it's Madden. It'll be jump to a key moment or something.
Yeah, stuff like that. So it's stuff like that will cut down on just flying, because Korea's big. Those flight times from the southern coast of Korea all the way up to the Chinese border, it's pretty long, even in a Sabre.
Cool. Well, this would have also been on my list, except that I knew you would probably talk about it. So I've got my flight set up back in my office and had been sitting in the basement for a while. We'll see how quickly I fail out, but we'll see.
I do honorable mention, Combat Pilot is a Pacific Theater flight sim that is in the works. It does look like they're going to have their carrier qualification module come out. So it's going to be mostly just flying about, landing on carriers and stuff. There's not going to be any combat initially, but it does look like they are aiming to release that this year.
Combat Pilot with no combat.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that is being built from the ground up, as opposed to all these other flight sims we have, which are built on rather antiquated engines, a lot of spaghetti code. So that's one of the reasons I'm really optimistic about Combat Pilot, and definitely want to support it. So
Cool. Well, Tortuga, that leaves you.
All right, my number one game is Sintopia. This is published by Team 17. This game is a complete surprise to me, as it probably is for you guys. I didn't know about this game until I started looking at releases for 2026. And then I don't know how I stumbled upon this. Actually, I asked ChatGPT to tell me about upcoming game releases that the content creator Tortuga Power might like, and it was on this list. So,
Wow.
Wow.
damn you, ChatGPT, you know me too well. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding.
Well, first, I'm amazed it knows you.
He's probably not actually in the training data. It was just like, these are strategy games. Okay.
I think it knows how to Google search because as I said, oh, you mean the Tortuga Power who? And then it just basically copy pasted the description for my channel. I'm like, okay, I know how to do that too. But okay, fine. So anyway, Sintopia, I'm just going to read the Steam description for it first. Like I said, published by Team 17. My high level overview of it, it's essentially like Black and White, the old God game, meets something like Dungeon Keeper or even Factorio, because there's you have to route things the right way. And so there's a little bit of optimization and, go to this building first, then go to that building to scrub the most out of the sins and the souls you're trying to squeeze the most amount of money out of them or whatever. Anyway, the Steam description is manage hell, manipulate the overworld, build the resurrection business of your dreams. In Sintopia, you're tasked with managing the bureaucratic administration of hell, re-educate the sinful, generate profit, play God, and expand your hellish empire. I think that this game looks so cool. It reminds me a lot of the excitement that I had when Evil Genius 2 was releasing. I think it has a little bit of that Evil Genius type management to it, or again, like Dungeon Keeper. Most recently, I think that it's been the Dungeons series of games. This does have some kind of, so it has the base building mechanic where you're supposed to route the souls to different areas. I don't understand the tycoon system yet, so I can't really speak to that. There's some way you're supposed to optimize souls that you queue them over here and you cleanse them of these sins and you get money for that, and that helps you to build new buildings. But I mean, it's all just a respin of the economy we know from other games. It kind of reminded me even of just the theme park type tycoon games. And I like the feel of it. It looks really good. And when I look at this game, I get really excited about it. It seems simple enough that it'll be easy to pick up, but it seems unique enough that it'll be very interesting to play. With that combination of things, I mean, I don't think that there's been a lot of successful God games since Black and White, and I'm always interested in seeing those. So,
okay.
Oh, sweet.
maybe that's all I have to say about it. Yeah. Sintopia. It's on my wish list. It's the game I'm most looking forward to now that I know about it as of last day. So
Wow, already catapulted up.
it's my number one, but the caveat being that Espiocracy, Task Force Admiral, these are games that, Falling Frontier, these are games we've talked about previously that didn't get released when we thought they would. So Modern Naval Warfare, that's another one. Those were also on my list, but I intentionally relegated them, like TG was saying, just because we've talked about them before. But I think it is worth also going through the games that were repeats, because none of us mentioned Task Force Admiral, but that's obviously coming out in a month or less at this point.
Oh, it's coming out in a week. We definitely need to mention that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go through the repeats and then honorable mentions, maybe.
Yeah, sure. My honorable mention was Task Force Admiral. Task Force Admiral is coming out January 27th in early access.
Do we know how many scenarios are going to be in the early access? Obviously, they have the 2 in the demo.
So yeah, there's going to be those 2, and then they are doing Midway. Now, I'm not sure if there's going to be Midway alternatives. This was one of my... I mentioned this in one of my videos. This was one of my concerns. The game already is very replayable, but I was worried even launching in the early access with just Coral Sea and Midway. That seems a little light, but we will see how fast they can, churn out new scenarios and stuff like that. There's also that mission generator. So the game's a lot of fun, though.
If they have all the carriers, all the Japanese and American carriers from Midway, I think the battle generator could be interesting when you've got 5 carriers to choose from, and on one side at least. But yeah, I do agree. It tends to get a little repetitive. I don't know. I like the approach they're following with scenario-centric battles, because I think that allows them to... I feel like scripting nowadays gets kind of a bad rap, but I think being able to have multiple scripts with different variants that could be leveraged to give scenarios more potential outcomes, so that you don't just look up a history book and know the Japanese carriers are here. I'm going to just search here, and now it's, I do think the game's a little repetitive, but I have been playing it a lot. on my channel, and I'm really excited. Like, if I hadn't mentioned this last year, it probably would have been my number 1 or number 2.
Games like this that have come out in the past, like you think Jane's Fleet Simulator, stuff like that, even like Sea Power, right? These are games which there's 2 aspects to their success, in my opinion. One is just the general capabilities of the engine, which I think Task Force Admiral scores very high.
Yeah.
But the next is like you need new scenarios. You need like possibly like a campaign. Like Sea Power has so many scenarios, and the fun in Sea Power is, I mean, you can create your own scenario, but I don't want to keep playing the same scenario over and over again. It's the same thing with Task Force Admiral. Like a lot of enjoyment comes if you can string together a fun series of scenarios, something like that. So I'm a little worried about that from Task Force Admiral, that they have a great engine, and obviously that their focus has been develop the best engine. At some point, they need to switch from because there's this the expression, right? Perfect is the enemy of good enough. I think they need to, at some points, turn over, like stop the engine and start developing content, like scenarios and stuff for the game. Because to me, just having 2 or 3 scenarios at launch, I mean, I'm not sure. Hopefully people will get enough bang for the buck with just those 3.
Is it a funding play? Is it hey, let's release with the biggest named battles so we can generate enough money to finish the game effectively?
I don't think that's the case. I will say they are choosing a good battle. Like Coral Sea, I mean, relatively short. Midway is a long affair. So there is that. It is a multi-day battle. And potentially with your decisions, you can make it even longer or shorter. So
yeah, those pesky Americans, just take him out on the first strike.
I guess I want to point out is that you're adding Coral Sea and you're adding Midway, but that's all 6 of the Japanese carriers. So you can be using those assets for other missions. So they're creating missions with the assets that you can use for other things. So it's not like your bare bones.
Do they have an actual mission editor though? Like the generator is interesting, but I don't get to place where on the map planes and things are, right? And I think the generator is limited to a 1-day scenario.
I don't think you can play stuff like make your own missions. I don't know if that's going to come eventually, but it's just kind of like random. You randomize the battle. I like it. It's fun and adds replayability.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to cut you off there, Finn, but I think that's a good call out. Like, again, the bulk of the Japanese fleet is at Midway, so if the scenario really includes all of them and it's not like a subset of like, oh, this is the Hiryu counterattack or something, like, I don't know. But if they include all of Midway, then yeah, that's a lot of aircraft. Do you know, are they just including the one Coral Sea scenario, or are they going to include like a day 1 scenario? Because the Coral Sea scenario they include is actually day 2 after both air wings have kind of been ravaged.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm interested. I think, what I will say about this game is like, I do think the game suffers from replayability, unlike Sea Power with what I've played so far. That being said, I think compared to Sea Power, they have nailed the ambiance and the menu screens and the briefings in a way that I think make the scenarios come to life in a way that I wish Sea Power did a better job of. Like, I know maybe that's a minor thing, but I think like the intro briefings, the general polish of like the way you get into a battle and sort of set yourself and your mindset into the battle. I think Sea Power is much more bare bones, typical like war game where like that stuff plays second fiddle. Whereas I think, Task Force Admiral has been like, we're going to have like narrated briefings with briefing maps, and they really try to set you in the game in a way that you rarely see outside of like something like Sid Meier's Gettysburg or something.
I see those intros and I think of Silent Hunter 4. They're very reminiscent of Silent Hunter 4. But yeah, the game menus are very immersive. I love the UI.
How do you think this game will be received on Steam when it launches?
Okay, by the way, I just loaded up the game. There is a May 7th scenario. Like, they have all the scenarios loaded in the that they plan on doing in the demo. So there is a May 7th, 1942 scenario for Coral Sea. Now, is that going to come at launch? I don't know. But how do I think it'll be received? I think the biggest issue is probably content. We'll see. But I think overall it'll be received well. I don't think the game's too buggy or anything.
Yeah.
Like that from what I've played in the demo. It seems solid. Like, the core gameplay loop is good.
Yeah, agree. Okay, yeah. When I asked that question, I had in my mind that I think this will have a really strong positive impression, at least for the first week, but I could see people playing it enough that they start to get bored of it and then changing their mind and saying, It needs a little more before it gets over the hill.
I think it's very pretty, and that's going to help its reception. I do think it's one of those games that could release to a really good review score and then slip over time as people are like, there's not enough content here, or, you know, maybe less groggy folks get into it and are like, this UI isn't very intuitive to me, or other things like that. But I've enjoyed my time with it. I wish you could fly the dive bombers too. Like, you can fly the fighters if you want. It'd be cool to be able to dive bomb a carrier. Maybe that would make it too easy. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why the game doesn't allow me to shit in front of the machine guns and shoot down airplanes as they come in. I want to be able to fire the guns on the destroyers. Can I play as the submarines in this game?
Hey, I don't think it makes sense for them to let you. I don't think it makes sense for them to let you fly the fighter either. But if you're gonna do that, let me fly the dive bomber.
Yeah, I mean, adding the fighter, it's interesting. It's not the reason I'm playing the game, but it's a fun little thing to do. Same like they're going to add like anti-aircraft mounts you can take control of. So
Oh, they are going to. Okay.
I was joking, but you know what this reminds me a little bit is what's the game that came out like in 2008 or so that it was like Battle Stations.
Didn't I literally just say Battle Stations Pacific?
Battle Stations Pacific, I think it was called.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Tortuga said it first.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Battle Stations Pacific, where you could take control of everything. But I agree that that's not the reason why I play this game. And I think that if it is the reason you play this game, you'll be pretty disappointed. Like this game is not meant to be played just for that.
You know what's interesting is I saw this. Someone commented in one of my streams to this effect was like, they wish the naval gunnery combat was as good as War on the Sea, because like it exists. Ships can fight each other. You don't have anywhere near enough micro control of the surface task force to really do that very well. But like War on the Sea nailed, I think, the surface combat, but like the air combat scale was so off. It was just, it didn't make sense. Whereas Task Force Admiral, like, it is gorgeous when you launch a large strike, just like following your aircraft in, like literally aircraft as far as the eye can see. It is awesome to just see your strikes fly in and whatnot. So I think I'm excited. I think it's a cool game. I think it's a game we don't get a lot of. And like I said, it would be near the top of my list. I have reservations, but overall, I like it.
We better move on to the next one, though.
Do we have another one? Are we done?
No, I mean, we have tons, right? There's lots of stuff to cover.
I have honorable mentions. Come on.
Fine. What are your honorable mentions, Finn?
I don't want to go first.
Why? You're up next.
Wasn't Wolf talking about his?
Okay, do you have any honorable mentions? The Historical Gamer?
Why are we jumping back to me? I have a few. I mean, what else here? Strategos, which is like
yeah, got that one.
Sorry, well, do you want to talk about it then, or?
No.
you fellas got to get it together.
Mom and Dad are fighting.
Strategos is a real-time tactical war game set in classical antiquity. Simulate large-scale battles of over 1,200 or 220 factions, 250 units from the ancient world. Create custom battles or take control of historical ones. Published by Microprose. It is coming out on January 20th. A lot of these are January releases.
We've already played this one, though, right?
A demo. Kind of think like more detailed Total War game battles with like bigger scale. However, there's no campaign to it, I don't think. So
No.
that is going to be a little bit of a downside, is that like it's, to me anyway, it's like, all right, well, you can fight a lot of these historical battles, you can create battles, but I want my battles to mean something. And in that sense, there's no real, it does say historical campaigns and reenactments, but
Maybe they're coming.
I think it's like a roguelike where the campaign. I feel like I remember reading this.
when I played the demo, they made it sound like there wasn't going to be a campaign. Maybe it's like Field of Glory where they're like linked battles, but there's no real map or something. I don't know. But I don't know. I remember seeing it and wishing there was a bit more of like an actual strategy world to it element, and it looks interesting. I'm intrigued.
This game, the way it does like order delays is awesome. You give your orders out and you see little dudes run around telling other units, what they need to do. It's not like Total War where these massive armies instantly know what the general wants, what we're doing. Like there's delays. I don't know. It adds a pretty cool dynamic, I think.
You should play Grand Tactician: The Civil War then. That's how that works. And
I love that stuff.
And then like if your general is blocked between, like, if some of your troops aren't reachable, then the courier rise off gets killed and the order never arrives.
I love that. And Grand Tactician Civil War has been on my list for a while. I've just heard the AI is
Not the best.
not necessarily fun to play against. So
Scourge of War also has that you can play with couriers. It's an optional setting.
sorry, I didn't know that.
One of the things I would like to try in that game is like if you do a multiplayer game and you're playing with other humans and you have to issue your orders via like written out couriers to them. That's always seemed like a cool idea to me.
All right, next honorable mention.
Headquarters Cold War, published by Slytherin Paradox, turn-based game. Kind of like it's a World War II like Panzer General style game, but instead they're like, hey, what if this was happening in the 1980s? So, attack helicopters, air support, all the stuff you'd expect from like a hex-based turn-based war game, but set in the late 80s, which I think is something I feel like these games always should do because that would be cool and they would work the same way they work, except you'd get a different setting. And it doesn't seem like anyone ever does that. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. Then the only other ones I had were what we already talked about. So
All right, Finn.
No.
All right. Oh, I'm going to go. I have 4 games on my honorable mention list. The first one is called Trail Marks. The Steam description is, you're a new fact checker for the Trail Marks travel guide. Your job, answer trivia, verify facts, and circumnavigate the globe before time and money run out. It looks like a game that kind of was like maybe based off a board game. I don't know if it's actually a board game, but it just looks like a fun, unique little concept, kind of a simple game, but interesting. My next game is Hell Let Loose Vietnam. Basically, Hell Let Loose, the World War II game, but set in Vietnam. And I feel like right now I'm kind of interested in a first-person shooter that's not World War II. Although, playing so much Squad 44 / Postscriptum and Hell Let Loose, the games where I play and suffer, I'm probably going to be playing and suffering in Hell Let Loose Vietnam, but I'm looking forward to that setting a lot.
can I ask you a quick question? Did you ever play, didn't the Red Orchestra people make a Vietnam game?
They did. I played it. It's good.
Is it good? Is it like, do people still play it?
Yeah.
How does Hell Let Loose compare to it? Do you think it'll be noticeably different? Do you think it'll be bigger scale, more units, more?
Yeah, bigger scale. I mean, Hell Let Loose has like armor and stuff. Yeah, bigger scale. Maybe a slightly slower pace.
Do you think you'll be able to fly helicopters?
There are going to be helicopters and PBRs and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
All right. Next game is called Zlin City. It's a city builder game based off of the city of Zlin in the Czech Republic, and it's set in the 1920s and 30s. I think the most interesting thing about this game is that they built like models of buildings and cars and other things, like models that you'd see like on a train set or something. And then they scanned them with a 3D scanner and touched them up. And those are going to be the in-game assets. So I think that's a really cool thing to do. And then my last game is a game called Panzer Strike. It's a World War II RTS. The graphics look a little bit like Age of Empires 2. I think right now it's mostly Eastern Front battles. The developer is also the publisher, but when I was doing a little bit of research on this, they're a Russian team based in Moscow. So if you're kind of like, I don't want to give them money, definitely understand. And that's it.
All right, well, I know Tortuga's waiting. We'll save his for last. I got one last game. My last game is another first-person shooter. It is called Bellum. It is
cool.
made by friend of the pod, Karma Cut, who's a content creator. He's kind of heading this one up.
Never heard of them.
Okay, well, friend of the pod.
Do they actually listen to the pod? Can we confirm that?
I doubt he listens to this.
Some friends.
Anyway,
So where did this friend of the pod come from? I'm just like, doesn't listen to the pod, doesn't know who we are. Like,
okay, all right. It's just a turn of phrase, buddy.
mm-hmm.
How do you turn the phrase? What do you mean? You can't turn a phrase.
Gosh, I'm gonna scream.
How do you spell Bellum?
Exactly. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Bellum. It's not on Steam right now. They had a playtest a little while ago. It's a lot of fun. They're definitely trying to do some things to kind of shake up the first-person shooter, the tactical FPS scene. There's a lot of these games, it's like capture point A, capture point B. This one is kind of like an area. All the teams, each player has a limited lives per round, 3 lives per round. That is awesome. So you are incentivized to break contact and use like real tactics. They have a medical system, asymmetric warfare. It is set in Africa, which is a pretty cool setting. So you have like U.S. Army Rangers. There's like a Russian PMC group and then an insurgent faction. Maybe another faction, but I think those are the 3 they're working on right now. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Definitely focused on fire team tactics. So they have like, if you're using like an LMG, You have a team, so someone's feeding you ammunition. You can keep firing it. So if you have like an M240, you're kind of set, and like you can lay down a lot of suppressive fire and don't have to just sit there and reload because your buddy's there linking belts. Anyway, and lots of interesting stuff. Definitely shaking it up. Looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to forcing Finnish Jager to play this.
I'll play it. Another first-person shooter where I'll suffer.
All right, Tortuga, you can speak now.
All right, bring up the rear.
I love bringing up the rear.
How long's your list?
We'll go through it.
I have 8 games.
Yeah, 8 or so. But
If you guys want to leave, there will be about another 20 minutes of Tortuga talking about his list. But
I just want to say this for people listening. Let us know if this is valuable or not. I do spend time gathering a bunch of games and then I riddle them off. And if that's not interesting to you, let us know so I don't do this anymore. Don't want to waste my time.
I'm interested in it.
Okay, number 1, The Last General. This is essentially like Broken Arrow. It's made by a small development team, so I have it like high risk, high reward type thing. It's like, like Warno, all those other modern tactical games, but mostly compared to Broken Arrow from what I saw. The one difference that you actually do some very minor base building and defenses, and it has some resources. So those, all those other games are all about like capturing a point for command points or whatever. This brought in some very basic like Command and Conquer type structures to the gameplay. So that's a pretty ambitious idea. Just making Broken Arrow by itself or any of those like Warno type games seems pretty ambitious. Considering it's a small development team, maybe, I don't even know if it might even just be a single person. That might be like way too ambitious and this will just never get built. But supposedly it's going to be released in 2026. There's some footage out there of it, and it looks pretty interesting. So definitely an honorable mention that it's like one of the ones, it almost made my top 3. I mean, I was jockeying this and Dawn of War 4 between each other, like which one should I put? So anyway, that's one I think that actually you guys should also keep an eye on too. It's pretty interesting.
Okay, we will.
Okay.
Next one, Nova Roma. This is a city builder. It's kind of like the old impression game Caesar 3, but I would consider it a more accessible, fun version of that. There's a demo available right now for people who are interested in. The last one was published by Waikiki, which is also the developer. And when you don't have a publisher, that's probably a bad sign. But Nova Roma is published by Hooded Horse. A little bit more hopeful about this one. Yeah, I think this looks like a more cozy version of the impression games type titles where you can build your own version of like a Rome city. And there's the same thing as there was in the Caesar 3 type games where you can be attacked by barbarians, and it's not a big focus of the game, but there still is like a need to gather a militia to defend. It looks really good. So if you're into like city management or city builder type games, especially in the ancient era, that might be one you're interested in, especially because it's Hooded Horse, right? And demo available, like I said, so you can just play that one right now. Next up, Microprose, Battleship Command. I should pretty much just let Wolf talk about this one because I know that he mentioned he's following this one, but essentially my view on it is it's a simulation of like a battleship or a warship. Similar, as far as I could tell, to like what Silent Hunter or even Destroyer, the U-Boat Hunter, were doing for submarines and destroyers, respectively. So that's a pretty cool take, a new thing for us playing a battleship. Wolf, you have any thoughts?
This was one of my honorable mentions too. I knew it was on your list because of our...
do you think it's likely to come out this year?
In early access, yes. I think so. The game looks interesting. It's made by a single dev. He does have help from some other Microprose folks there. He's been working on this for quite a while. He actually sent me a demo maybe 5 or 6 years back.
Dang.
For this. Completely rebuilt the game, though, in a new engine, and this is kind of the result. It puts you in command of Scharnhorst, and definitely wants to have some sort of dynamic campaign situation going in the end. So, very Silent Hunter inspired. You can kind of tell from the UI and such. I did a full interview with the dev on the channel, so
Oh, very good.
if you're interested in that sort of thing, check that out. Seems like a great guy. Good first ship to choose. A German surface raider, I think, is great for gameplay.
Yeah, Scharnhorst is like my favorite battleship of World War II.
Yeah, there you go.
It's got a lot of action.
We'll link to that interview in the description. But I would also say like Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, their careers as ships would make the most interesting game. Like they even, they broke out of the blockade a few times. They were based in France for a little while. They had the Channel Dash, but like they also got to try and like intercept a few convoys. I think peak Was it, or maybe that was Tirpitz, but I know one of the convoys to like Russia was like disrupted because they thought they were out as well. And also like fast sort of battle cruisers rather than like full-blown battleships are really like very well suited for commerce raiding. Very interesting ships, I think, and should make for a good game.
Yeah, personally, I would like to see some sort of, I want the shitty surface raiders. I want an armed merchant ship. That's what I want to be cruising around in, frankly. Like the Penguin.
Some ocean liner where they slap some guns on it.
Or like, have Graf Spee refight the battle of...
That's not shitty enough for him, okay?
Sorry. He's talking about like the Penguin in New Zealand or whatever.
I am talking about the Penguin. That's what I want.
Yeah, I knew it.
Jarn Horse is interesting. It's a good ship to choose. He's putting a lot of detail into a lot of these, like fire control systems. Very Silent Hunter-esque.
Move on to the next one, which is, this is a light honorable mention, just something that I'm aware of, and I'm not really confident about it. Game of Thrones, War for Westeros. It looks like RTS battles, like medieval combat, obviously it's Game of Thrones. I couldn't really find good gameplay footage of it. I am tentative, but it's published by Playside. I'm tentative it'll even come out in 2026. I'm also tentative that I would like it if it does, but it did remind me a little bit of those old Lord of the Rings games. There was a 1 and a 2 where you would actually...
Battle for Middle-earth?
Yeah, Middle-earth, where you played like little squads, like little 12-unit groups of like spearmen or whatever. And there's also the global map where you're moving province by province with your armies, taking over Minas Tirith. So it kind of reminded me of that, because they're supposed to have like a turn-based combat or a turn-based turn resolution at the global map phase. And because Game of Thrones is a pretty interesting, like, universe, I could see that being interesting. So I wanted to at least mention it here. The RTS battles I put down here, it looks like Age of Empires to me. But it's a more modern version of that.
It looks neat. Yeah, screenshots look even a little similar to Battle of Middle-earth, which I never played and then is like no longer for sale anymore because of a licensing thing. Like they had a limited time license. I saw it in a local like reseller. They were selling the 2 games for $100.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, don't do that.
It's a 20-year-old game.
But the campaign map context looks a little simplistic. It's almost like Lords of the Realm. I also want to mention this. I have a bad feeling about this game because the 2 trailers they have 0% gameplay. They're just like art rendering of like scenes where Jon Snow or whatever his name is fighting some dude. And it's not about the battle at all. And you have to like go into the game. Like in the Steam screenshots, you go to the screenshots and it's just like, this could be early pre-alpha type screenshots.
This is giving Playway.
Yeah, run for their money.
Sending out feelers to see how many wish lists they can get.
Playway versus Playside.
I'm not sure what Playside is, but...
Are we sure they're not related?
Very suspicious.
They gotta be. They gotta be. This
put a big tentative question mark next to this one, but I wanted to mention it's out there, so there it is. The next one is published by Casito Games. It's another Warhammer 40k title, Mechanicus 2. Probably some of you guys know Warhammer 40k Mechanicus, the original, which is kind of like an XCOM type game, except for it was like full progression. Like you're just in one map and you just keep going, I think. Or do you have missions? No, you have missions. I never played it, but I was kind of thought it was interesting. I've watched some videos on it. Anyways, they're publishing a number 2, which looks extremely like the original. Definitely a very true to the original sequel. It's like XCOM set in 40k. Just go check it out if you're interested in 40k and XCOM. Then this might be up your alley. You can just check out the old game. Casito Games is interesting too because they've published some other good stuff like Ixion, Project High Rise, mainly those, I guess. So there you go. The next one is Norse Oath of Blood, published by Tripwire. This seems like War Tales, but maybe with a little bit more management. You have some kind of squad management. It's almost like Battle Brothers, where you manage something at the map level, the like global map level, but then you dive into these tactical battles when you have an actual fight. And based on the feature description, it seems like there's a lot more management than was in Battle Brothers. So I put maybe it's more like War Tales, which is a game kind of like Battle Brothers, but it had more management in it. So I'm not describing this one very well. It's a game which is supposed to come out in 2026. Let me actually read the description of this one. Turn-based tactics game set in Viking Age Norway. Build a settlement, forge alliances, and fight strategic battles. Manage a community of craftspeople, farmers, and warriors. as you grow strong on your path to vengeance in this story-rich saga. Yeah, it does give me like War Tales vibes. Maybe even there's that other series that has tactical battles, but like is more RPG oriented. Anyway, yeah, I'm not into the tactical battle of like XCOM when it's in the medieval stuff, when they do like the square-based movement type battles with like medieval weapons. I don't like that as much. It works to me much better when everyone has guns. So that's why I'm not like sold on this just because I don't think the tactical combat will be that interesting. That kind of like action point based, like I have 2 action points, I can move and then I can attack. That kind of style, I just don't think it works well with like medieval or fantasy type weapons. To me, it works very well for XCOM and is built for that. And I don't think it works outside of that. Okay. Anyway, I'll move on. Strategos we covered. Mars Tactics by Hooded Horse. I have nothing really to say about this. I'll just read the Steam description and move on. The Red Planet is at war. Lead either capital's corporate army or laborers, worker revolutionaries, and wage war across the vast strategic map. Then assume direct control and turn-based tactical battles featuring artillery, vehicles, and fully destructible environments. So this gives me a Red Planet type vibe. If you guys remember that one, that was a first-person shooter, I think, but I feel like they just tried to go to a tactical version of that. It looks interesting. It's also by Hooded Horse, so, that's Hooded Horse, so I have to mention it. I'm paid to do so. Oh, did I say that?
Really?
No, I'm not. I wish. No, it looks interesting. So I've said enough. I have nothing more to say.
Hint, hint.
Hooded Horse, if you are looking for a sponsor for for a podcast, we are open. Just letting you know.
Those guys are like, why would I pay them?
Same with DraftKings.
Why would I pay them? They do it for free.
Listen, any brand that might hear that this podcast exists, we will take your money and we will say what you want us to say.
Okay, don't go that far.
If you want to cut the rest of these guys out, DraftKings, and speak to me directly.
Find my contact information.
Draft Pack 345, the new,
Yeah, I'm going to start gambling on Twitch or whatever. That's in, right?
Kick, that's it, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Anyway.
I only got one more. Don't worry. We're almost done.
Okay.
Star Wars Zero Control, or Zero Company. It's XCOM in the Star Wars universe.
Are you serious?
It's published by EA. This is the last honorable mention because I almost didn't want to mention it even knowing about it because I don't like EA. I don't think that this game is going to be good because EA just ruins everything.
And they're owned by a Saudi wealth fund now.
I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah. That said, it does look interesting. If you're interested in Star Wars and you like XCOM, this is your thing. It's going to be good.
This looks kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, you're welcome. See, honorable mentions. That's what it's for.
Thank you.
Just to get people to be aware of these kind of things. I also have the list of repeats, which I won't cover any more than just saying what they are. We already covered these in previous years. Task Force Admiral, we actually covered for a long time in this podcast. Espiocracy. It didn't get released in 2025. It's going to be released in 2026.
Guarantee?
99%.
Oh,
I got to leave 1%
99.
for... Yeah, I think it's March 2026, right? March?
What's the over-under on that?
All right, let's hard play some
All
bets
right,
here.
DraftKings.
All right, continue. I like Tortuga's organization here.
But I think the official release date is March 2026, right?
Oh, do they actually have a month now? I didn't see that.
No, it just says 2026, but I think they're targeting March 2026. So I read that somewhere, or I didn't, and I made it up. But I'm going to pretend with confidence that it's true.
Are you sure you didn't read it nowhere?
Okay, yeah, sure. It was nothing, not a book. All right, so Espiocracy we covered. Falling Frontier I covered last year, but it's space. It's like a space combat simulator. It looks really interesting. It's also from Hooded Horse, but we talked about that one before. It's supposed to come out in 2026. And the last one, which I believe we talked about in 2025 as well, another Hooded Horse. I swear it's not because it's Hooded Horse. It's just because they're releasing a lot of games that I like, is Menace. It's by the developers from the Battle Brothers. They're doing now a Modern Warfare type game, and a demo is out, so you can go check out Menace, the demo on Steam. But it's basically a tactical, it's almost like another XCOM for crying out loud. But yeah, it's a tactical modern warfare. It's actually even not just modern, some twist on history. I don't know. I didn't follow it. So there we go. That's my list.
To go back to your comment earlier, the release date for Rasputie is no longer planned for 2025 as we are working hard on delivering the best possible game. We are looking currently at 2026 as the potential release year.
Yeah, that game ain't coming out.
I have, I guess, one more honorable mention that I'm surprised that Tortuga didn't mention.
Oh, no.
And I think Wolf told me about this game. And it's called Steam and Iron Battle of Port Arthur. It's a
Oh, yeah.
Battle of Tsushima, Russo-Japanese War naval game.
Steam and Iron, that means it's Rule the Waves, right?
It's a little bit more graphically impressive than Rule the Waves.
I think a lot more impressive.
Okay,
than
yeah,
that.
a lot. A little is underselling it by comparing it to with the Rule Waves. But yeah, kind of your pre-Dreadnought battleship naval combat. What does it say? It's Steam description, tactical real-time naval simulation, squadrons of battleships, cruisers, torpedo boats from two empires, which is going to be Japan and Russia, clashed in epic naval battles. So yeah, Steam and Iron coming soon to early access, another early access game.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that one. Thanks for bringing that up, Finish. I think I played something like this, though. Was there another one that is...
Yeah, there's a turn-based game that came out not too long ago that's Dreadnoughts related. I'm blanking on the name.
Sure.
There was like a Boshin War naval game, Ironclads 2.
That might be it. I don't know. It was a Spanish War.
There's a whole Ironclad series by Totem Games, and they did a lot of games kind of like this.
Okay.
They did an American Civil War game, Pacific War game, all sorts of stuff.
One of those.
All
right.
chat.
That's what we're looking forward to in 2026. Let's hope everything
Nailed it.
comes out and succeeds. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, good luck editing this.
Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer, but you can call me Matt. For all of my hosts, co-hosts, and guests, we're out.
I'm the guest.
I'm
leaving.
One guest.